Don't talk about async subject.
Start dancing, Ben. Come on.
Why are we dancing?
Because it's Friday and we're pairing. Is that a song? Did I just sing a song?
The Friday and repairing song.
Because it's Friday and we're pairing. Doesn't it sound like a song that you know, though? You sing the do the locomotive.
It was a little more Partridge Family than I usually listen to. So,
what's the song that the locomotive song? Can you sing that for me? Do the locomotive.
No, wasn't that? Didn't like Debbie Gibson or somebody redo that song?
I don't know. I don't know who Debbie.
Jump up, jump back. I don't really know all the words.
Sing your favorite song for me right now.
What?
Come on.
I don't have one. I'm sorry.
Just a small town girl.
I was even just on the elevator today, and there's like this thing for a karaoke party here at Google, and I was looking at that, just thinking like, I would like to go to that and watch other people sing, but I do not want to sing myself. And then here you are trying to make me sing.
What's that one small town? Okay, it's like so depressing. I'm sending you these. No, what is this small town boy crap? That is not the right song. Lyrics. It's not called Small Town Girl. What's the name of the song called?
What are you talking about? Journey? Don't Stop Believing?
Don't Stop Believing.
Tracy, we're supposed to be talking about RxJS. I don't want to sing Journey right now.
Come on. Can you just sing like one lyric for me? Please. Oh, make me so happy. It's Friday.
You just sent them.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere.
All right. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. Can we talk about the other stuff now? I'm sorry.
I'm so depressed.
If anyone is still watching, nobody's watching. We're live.
I didn't tell anybody.
No.
Not worth it. Nobody cares. Wait, hold on. I totally lost now what we were going to talk about. Okay, we're talking about subjects.
Yeah, you want to talk about the subjects.
All right. So first you said you forgot what async subject did.
Async subject. Well, it's basically it stores one value until it completes and then it emits it. It's kind of like a promisey thing, but I forgot why we added it. It was added for some specific operator use case, and it's one of those things where I never use it. It was added for some specific. Whoa, I hear my own voice. Hello?
Hey.
Is this me from the past? How are you doing?
Recursion. It's recursion from the last one we did.
I was hoping I was going to get to talk to my past self, like a time traveler.
Your past self.
All right, so we can talk about subjects. Let me talk about subjects.
All right, I'm gonna take notes. So async subject. So what we really want to teach people right here is kind of real world use cases of like, when do you use async subject? You're getting less fun, Ben.
What? No, I don't want to talk about real world use cases of when we use async subject. I don't even have a real world use case for that.
So how come we're not like removing the operator?
That's a good question. Probably because other people use it. So one of the reasons we don't remove a lot of operators from RxJS is if we did that, we would break a lot of people. So we can't.
No breaking changes, you.
Yeah.
No breaking changes. Okay, behavior subject, replay subject, and subject.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's recursive, Tracy. Recursive.
I'm not recursive, bro.
You're on my screen.
Just me. No, you're not. No, I'm not.
You're down here too.
Oh, okay.
Remember we used to do the thing where it was like recursive, like all the way, like I could see.
Yeah. Although you're showing me that like my makeup is kind of messed up right here.
It's not, it's fine.
All right.
Fine. See right there. Let me smudge that out for you. There you go.
Go ahead. Photoshop my face then. Do it right now. Okay.
All right.
Subject, replay subject, and behavior subject.
Okay, I can do that.
In less than 20 minutes. Real world use cases.
real world use cases in under 20 minutes.
Come on, bro.
So, relax. We'll do it. Let's see.
I would be relaxed if you sang to me.
I'm not going to sing.
I know. I'm saying if you had, I would be more relaxed.
So people understand what the use case for subject really is. It really is for multicasting in RxJS. And so like basically it's the same subject from like the observer pattern. So if I was to go look up like what is it? Observer pattern. Yeah. You can see I've looked it up before, it's purple. But you've got this sort of pattern here where you've got an observer, it's got an update function, and then you've got the subject, which has register observer, unregister observer, and notify observers. And just so people understand what it is, like that's the same thing as me saying like, close this so we can see a little bit better. It's me saying I have an interface subject, and it's got notify observers, some value, and it's got like register observer, takes an observer. We'll deal with that next. And what's it? Unregister observer, takes an observer. And these two basically maintain this inner list of observers, and this one loops over that inner list of observer and like says its value. Then interface is this, and what was it? What did it say? It was called it just update. So you could just call like update, and it could take a value, right? So in RxJS, we have an observer, and the observer has got a next method on it instead, which is cool. And we have an observable. We have a method that takes an observer, which is called subscribe, right? So it's the same basic. This is now basically an observable, and we don't need an unregistered observer because we return a subscription, which states that, hey, when you call unsubscribe, we can do this work for you. So we get rid of that. And then if you look at the signature of this and the signature of that, they're really the same thing, just with different names. So we can name this to next also. And then what you end up is, this is an interface that extends observer, but it also extends basically observable because it's got subscribe on it. We could put pipe on it and all these other things. So that's what a subject is. A subject is an observable that's also an observer. It's it basically like the overall interface of what a subject is. And what we use it for is we use it for situations where observables are frequently made like, so for example, is a unicast observable. But if we have an observable, generally we'd make it and be like new observable, and let's say it's an observable number, subscriber. And then here we can say subscriber one, subscriber complete. And so actually I could even go and just, I can make this a new date or whatever, get rid of this. Clear the console. We just get one, and every time I subscribe to this, we would get something different. So if I even had like something out here I was incrementing, so every time we subscribe to this, we're going to get a different number. So there it's 0. If I subscribe to it again, it's going to be 0 and then 1, because every single time it's calling this function again. And if I have a situation where I don't want to have a new subscription every single time, I need some sort of way to make this, which is now unicast, because it's going through and creating a brand new data producer basically every single time, to make it so it only really calls this subscription function once. And what I can do is I can pull in a subject. And if I take this source and I subscribe to it with a subject here, first let me create the subject. I say source, subscribe, subject, because subjects are observers and you're allowed to use an observer when you subscribe. Now, everything from this source is going into the subject. And all I really need to do is take this and subscribe to the subject instead. And you see, I'm sharing the value now. So like this only really gets called one time. If I put a there, you can see it's only called once. That's the primary use case for all subjects is this multicasting thing where every single one of these gets converted into an observer and it's registered with an internal observers list here on the subject, which you can look at. This is, you should never do this, but you can look at it and say subject gets observers. You can see the subscribers. So there's 3 right now. If I take one off, then there'd only be 2, etc. Don't actually do this. This is not a public API, which is why I had to cast it as any in order to get to it. But it's an internal implementation detail. Like I might change it to this at some point or something, but yeah. So like you have this internal list of subscribers that are created from these functions that were passed. And every time you next into it, into the subject, it notifies those subscribers. I could call next out here at random. And you'll see it get 42. And then I subscribe to the other thing and it gets 0 from that.
So really you're showing us how how subjects are built to show us that, hey, it's just really because of the multicasting thing. Like that's really why you should be using subjects in general.
Right. That's the primary use case. So the secondary use case for subjects is in situations like in Angular or React, where, let me just jump into a stack list for that. So I would have this situation where I've got this app component or this hello component or something. And right here, I might say, instead of this, let's change the template around a little bit and just say what? Div, and we have a button. Button, and then we might have this clicks right here. For clicks is 0. And what we want to do is like every single time that we click this, we want to update that. So say click. And if I wanted to have this be fed from an observable, work our way backwards. So we start from the observable of 0. Oh, I don't have a click method in here. Let me delete this just for now. Works. Okay, so that's 0. Should be 10. Okay, all right. So if I want to have this based off of an observable, then what I can do is, or have this updated via observable, is I can take this and I can say, let me have, let's call this button clicks new subject. We don't really care what the value is from that, but because we just want the event. And up here, I'll say goes to button clicks. And it's still not wired up, right? Like I just have this thing and I click it and it's nexting to the subject but not doing anything. I can make this derived from that, or I can say this button clicks pipe. I want to use the scan operator so we can update state. And we'll pull in this operator. Right now it starts off with nothing, but as soon as I start clicking on, you start getting values. So this is actually a good example for a subject. So when you saw when it first hit, that started off with nothing because nothing's been nexted into the subject immediately. But as soon as I start clicking it, it starts pumping through this observable, and we start getting values out of it. So that's one use case for subject. This is the same in Angular as it is in React, as it is in any other framework where you want to get an observable out of user events. You would use a subject for that. You can kind of just next into a subject, which we're doing up here in the template.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Can we talk about antipatterns? So we find that a lot of beginners use subjects everywhere.
Yeah, and this right here isn't really an anti-pattern per se, but like more of an anti-pattern would be if like basically people they'll be like, oh, I'm having a hard time creating an observable out of something, right? Like they'll get I don't know, they'll come here and they'll have like, oh, I'm going to create a new WebSocket, and whatever their endpoint is, they'll be like, okay, so I want to create a new WebSocket. When it's open or on message, you get some message, and they'll be like, okay, well, I want to create an observable from this, so I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to create a subject. I don't know what the subject will be, but subject next e.data, right? So they'll do something like this, and then they'll use the subject down here to do whatever the hell they're doing with their socket data. Probably could even call this like socket data, right? They'll do something like this. Copy the whole line. I want to copy the whole line. Copy. And this is not what you want to be doing because it's not really representative of anything. You're losing the, like, this, you could create 7 WebSockets and pump it all through the same socket data. I don't know, maybe that's what you want to do. That's fine. But generally speaking, this isn't what you really wanted to do because you're going to lose all the things that you get from observables like the guarantee of teardown, like, so like guaranteed memory management, things like that. Because normally you'd have this whole thing wrapped in an observable that didn't actually create the WebSocket until you subscribe to it, and then close the WebSocket when you unsubscribe or when it tears down, etc. So that's kind of the anti-pattern is, oh, gee, I don't know how to create an observable, so therefore I'm just going to create this subject and next into it. And that's not what you want to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's okay if you do it. It's just probably not the best thing to do.
Right. And I mean, arguably up here, that's exactly what I'm doing. I don't know how to create an observable from this thing. So, and that's coming in Angular. Like it's not like we haven't thought of that, but not in this upcoming version, but probably the version after. But like we're doing the same thing up there. But up here, it's one of those things where it's like, well, there's really no other way to do this. So that's how you do it. And it's totally fine. But here, there's totally other ways to do this. So ideally, you just be like, okay, well, wait, socket data, I'm going to go. And what's really funny is you're so close with this anyways. If you just said observable, I can spell it. And then just wrap this whole thing in there. And pretty much what you end up doing. Like it's same basic thing, right? So whenever that's the kind of the sad irony to it is a lot of the times when people are like, I don't know how to create an observable, so I'm just going to use a subject because it's easy. And I don't think people do that as much anymore. I feel like there's more education around this now, but all they really needed to do was just wrap that whole block probably in just an observable and use the subscriber instead. And they're better off.
Any other like real world use cases or anti patterns we want to talk about?
No, but we can talk about like the behavior subject or the replay subject really quick.
Well, if your big booty wasn't like late, it was good.
I thought it was Thursday. I really did.
Mm-hmm. We can finish talking about async subject though, or did you say everything you wanted to say about async subject?
I really don't want to talk about async subject. Like async subject is like there's almost no use case for using it directly. So it's used as part of, I think it's publish last, which isn't it's not really a commonly used operator. It basically has this thing where it says, I'm going to hold on to the last value and wait for complete to fire, and then I'm going to broadcast that to everybody that's listening to me. Kind of like what a promise does. But I mean, it's got limited use cases. It's okay with say like maybe like AJAX requests or something like that, like HTTP, but realistically, replay operator or share replay covers that pretty well.
James on live chat says, all the data through one giant subject. Let there be data.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that happen. So, but here's actually a good example of where a behavior subject might be good. You notice like this doesn't start until after I start clicking it, right? Like there's nothing there. If I pull in a behavior subject, and use a behavior subject here, it solves that problem. Well, I have to start it off with something, but it solves that problem. But like you see, the count starts at 1. So it kind of is a decent example. The real thing with behavior subjects is you want to, I'm trying to think about what's a better way to do this. Let's just say that if I had this inside of like an ng if or something like that. If I have a subject here and doesn't take null. If I have a subject here and I put this display inside of like ng if and then I'm going to add another to toggle it. We've gotten here, and if I toggle it off and toggle it back on, you see it's gone. There's like nothing there. And that sucks. And the reason there's nothing there is because I haven't clicked it again. Right? And it's resubscribing to this every single time, etc. So if I want there to at least be something there and not to get like confused, it's still going to resubscribe to this. I could change this to a behavior subject. And if I change it to a behavior subject, first of all, it's going to start with 1 because it's going to fire 1 through here automatically. But if I go and I toggle this off and back on again, it starts at 1 immediately because behavior subject is going to immediately emit the previous value that it had, which in this case is always null or undefined because I'm not pumping anything in. But you'll see that like it immediately gets a value through it because as soon as you subscribe to this, it subscribes to this, which gives you the last value, which pumps the value through this and gives you a 1. right? So that's kind of a use case for a behavior subject. If I wanted this to remember where it was at, then we're talking about more of a use case for like a replay subject. And in that case, we probably don't even want to use behavior subject. We probably want to use an operator like share replay, which under the hood uses a replay subject.
Wait, did you just say you don't want to use replay subject, but you want is it like you only want to use it under share replay?
So, all right. So share replay, and I can go over multicasting in a second, but share replay under the hood uses a replay subject.
I know, but what I'm saying is you never want to use like replay subject raw.
Probably not. Like maybe you do, but probably not. Like usually you just want to end up using like share replay. So in this case, this is a situation where I wanted this stream to remember when I toggled on and off. Like if I get rid of this, when I toggle this off and toggle it back on again, it resubscribes to this observable, which starts the whole thing over again. If I have a share replay on here, it's not going to start the whole thing over again. It's going to cache that value inside the replay subject and replay it back to me as soon as I bring it back. So it remembers the value, if that makes sense. So, but the implementation here is basically it's got like a replay subject inside. We can even go look at it. Actually, let's do that. RxJS in the world. I think it would be at the top of my list. Okay.
Dude, I can't even Google RxJS docs and for RxJS.dev to come up.
Wait, that's disturbing to me. Hold on. Look at that. That's not good.
I know.
That's not good. Man, if only someone worked at Google that could help fix that.
Yeah. All right, here, we're running out of time. You have 2 minutes.
All right. So just to look at what share replay does, there's some futs inside of here with configuration, but essentially what you have is every single time that you subscribe, it's going to create, if it doesn't have a replay subject already, it's going to create a new replay subject, and then it subscribes to it in such a way that it pumps values through that replay subject without killing the replay subject or erroring into it unless it has to. So this is just kind of it's a pretty rudimentary implementation, and then it does some reference counting inside, where like every single time you subscribe, a counter goes up, and when you unsubscribe, the counter goes down. And if the counter happens to get down to 0 and it's not complete, then it unsubscribes. It's just that, like in a variety of cases, that reference counter will stay at 1 for the initial subscription. So that we have this other configuration for whether or not you want to kill it based on ref count. So the default behavior is that it doesn't die just because all subscribers go down to 0. It will maintain the subscription until it completes because it's trying to make sure that it gets the value for you. It's trying to be efficient. But you can configure it to like, hey, if everyone unsubscribes, then I don't care about the data anymore. Just stop, and you'll have to resubscribe. It goes cold after that. But it's the basic implementation of share replay. I kind of rushed through it because you said I only had a couple minutes. But
I know, because you're a big Palestinian poop. All right, unshare your screen.
Unshare my screen. Got it.
Time to say goodbye.
I'm still screen sharing. There.
Don't stop believing.
Don't stop
has never been more appealing. That was brought to you by Jared Overson.
I've told you how much I love these things. I think they're so cool.
I know, But you've gotten less fun since you're not singing with me. It's like,
Can I get one of me? I guess it shouldn't say change the ratio, though. I'm not really changing any ratios myself, but
change the benchio.
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old. Maybe it could be like a gray haired person. Change that ratio.
Can we sing a song real quick? Come on, Ben. Be nice. Not just be nice. Be like fun again.
I'm so funny. I just talked about shared replay.
Okay, so don't know much about history.
Don't know much biology.
Don't know much about a science book.
Don't know much about the French I took. Do you have lyrics?
Yeah, I was going to tell you that.
Yeah, I got it. I'm pulling it out of nowhere. Like I've got it.
But I do know that I love RxJS.
And I know that it will always be true.
What a wonderful world this would be.
That's great. That's great.
That was bad.
Yeah.
All right, that was really fun though. I'm glad you're like related to these right now. You get all crazy and stuff. Get all wild, Ben. Getting all wild with RxJS.
Yep, so wild.
We're out of time though, but it was fun. You pounded through those. Are you gonna go work out now?
We'll go.
See, I don't even have to say show me those muscles. You just know I want to see them.
I will work out. I don't know if I'll do it right now. I have to go eat breakfast right now, but
are you just like perma in gym clothes?
Basically, a lot of times at work, I wear gym clothes to work, so I don't really have like. I'm just trying to reduce the amount of friction for me to actually go into the gym and work out. Mm. But I have other clothes. Oh, I have these socks. Check these socks out.
Those are pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, they're even better. They've got like feet on them.
Oh my God, they're so good.
With nail polish.
Oh my God, I love them. Okay, so I'm lifting chips and you're lifting weights.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm lifting this. Allow me to drink this.
Okay. Well, thank you. Say bye to the internet. Give it a hug. Hug. I want to hug.
Gotta hug it. Oh, hold on. Like this. Is that good?
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.